How much responsibility the celebrities must own for misleading the consumers?
Recently, we experienced that Dabur ad, Akshay Kumar was endorsing a
Yeah,
celebrity like
yeah,
Akshay Kumar. So one of my interns, so she reported this ad in which it is being claimed that you take 2 spoons of Dabur Chyawanprash
yeah.
and you keep COVID away. So she reported it to ASCII, and ASCII had a consumer complaints council.
Yeah.
So they considered it there. They asked for explanation of Dabur also, and whatever explanation Dabur gave, they didn't accept it, and they said this is misleading and withdraw it immediately.
What is the role of the civil servants to protect consumer rights? So this is a news to me. This is I haven't known as a so
Yeah,
how can we involve the collectors?
civil servants have a very important role to play
Yeah,
in the entire consumer protection process. They are empowered to take proactive measures.
many frauds are taking place in online shopping. So what precaution should be taken by the consumers?
Now, this clause says sellers beware.
Is CCPA actually protecting consumers proactively?
So, should you be spending over 2000 rupees for this medicine?
Hello, friends. See, consumer is the king. As a consumer, you might have faced many issues after buying the product. You might have not liked the product or the services, and you might have found many obstacles while returning the products. So, you might have so many queries: how to register a complaint, how to get your complaint and solved, whom to contact, and what to take into notice before buying a product. So many queries you will be having. So to discuss all those things, today we have a very eminent person, Dr. Jayashree Gupta, who is the president of Consumers India, which is a non-profit organization set up by former officers of Department of Consumer Affairs and other senior officers of Government of India with the view to use their knowledge and experience for the benefit of consumers. So today she will be answering some of the queries regarding consumer justice today. Welcome, ma'am. Welcome, ma'am, to Lifestyle Today News. So,
Yeah.
I had
My
tried to conduct a survey also about consumer justice, and actually the voting happened, and the answers were like this: people haven't yet no, filed a case in the petitions or cases in the consumer forums. So I felt that the awareness about consumer forums or how to know why people are not filing cases. There will be lot of cases, but people are not aware or they about how to do it. So that's why I thought I'll have an interview with you. So welcome, ma'am, to Lifestyle Today News, and I hope this interview is useful for many people. So, shall I start asking the questions, ma'am?
Yeah, sure, sure.
Okay, ma'am. So, the
Okay.
first question is do we have effective laws to protect interests of consumers?
Yes, Hansi, fortunately, we have a very progressive law, Consumer Protection Act 2019, which was, after a long battle by consumer activists like us. It was passed by Parliament in 2019, and it has been implemented in July 2020.
Yeah.
So this law compares with the best in the world. It has provisions for setting up of Central Consumer Protection Authority. This authority is like Federal Trade Commission of USA and Product Safety Commission of USA. They can proactively take measures to save consumers from misleading ads, from unfair trade practices. There are provisions for product liability, There are provisions for huge penalties which they can impose.
Yeah, okay.
All these provisions are there.
Yeah,
They're already in place.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what should the consumers do to avoid exploitation by sellers or service providers?
See, the most important thing, in my opinion, is that uh, there are certain rights that have been provided to consumers under the Act, under Consumer Protection Act. They should be aware of their rights. They should be aware of redressal mechanism, not only within the Act, but also outside of Act. For example, uh, they should see when they are going to buy a product, they should read the label properly. They should see the expiry date, they should see the ingredients, they should do some Google search, compare prices of other similar products. They should see the MRP, they can bargain on MRP. Then they should see the quality marks. For example, gold hallmarking has been introduced last year. So if they are buying gold, they should always buy hallmarked gold. Even toys, now government has made BIS mark, ISI mark mandatory on toys. If you are buying toys, because our study showed that lots of toys being sold in the market are unsafe for children. They are unsafe because they have paints and colors, because they have sharp edges, because they don't follow the guidelines which are required to be followed for safety. They have small pieces which children can swallow. So BIS certification has been made mandatory. Not only for toys, for water, for packaged water, it is mandatory. For so many electronic products, it's mandatory. For pressure cooker, for helmet, for many things, BIS certification, that is ISI mark, that is mandatory. So one should see those quality marks and never make an impulsive purchase. कि देखने में बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है, ले लिया. Or buy something, you know, by by being inspired by misleading advertisements. Yeah, we all the time we have advertisements
Yeah, yeah,
out there to mislead us. So we should do our proper research
yeah.
and only buy.
Okay.
So if we are alert as a consumer, we know our rights, then I think in 80 to 90% cases, there will not be any exploitation. If you are buying through e-commerce platform, see that this is a genuine platform,
Yeah.
because there are so many fake platforms also.
So what about ma'am, food? Food, how it is, the markings and all that.
Food, yeah, food. Every food product should have packaged food. Every packaged food
Yeah.
would have FSSAI logo and certification number.
Yeah, okay. And what about organic food? Is there any?
Yeah, and organic food should have Javik Bharat logo.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
So these are, government has been proactive in introducing these safety marks, but consumers need to exercise their rights. They need to be aware
Yeah, their
and
awareness is important.
exercise those rights.
Yeah, okay.
And particularly now we have very, proactive, not only this act, but also e-commerce rules which have been issued by the government. So they have to redress your grievances within a period of a month. They have to appoint a grievance officer. Each e-commerce platform has to have a grievance officer, and if you complain there, you should get a response within 48 hours,
Yeah.
and your complaint should be redressed within 1 month, and They need to display their return policy, refund policy. Fake reviews are not permitted. Misleading ads are not permitted. So if you do proper research, you can avoid being cheated.
Yeah, okay, ma'am. So, okay, ma'am, then according to a report in DNA, that one problem is the predominance of lawyers in consumer forums. So, consumer forums were meant to provide speedy justice in simple ways. Instead, they started behaving like courts. Okay, that is a quote. So, how can consumer forums simplify the process for speedy justice? In other words, how can
Yeah,
customer forums be made more consumer friendly?
yeah, I know that was a very big problem,
Yeah,
particularly with the earlier act.
yeah,
We had Consumer Protection Act 1986,
yeah,
and under that act, government had provided three-tier redressal mechanism.
yeah,
So there was a district forum at the district level. Every district was supposed to set up. Then at the state level, state commission, and then at the national level, national commission for consumers. And if you are aggrieved with the national commission, you could go to Supreme Court in appeal. So what was happening was states were not setting up forums, they were not filling up vacancies, there were delays in adjudication, uh, uh, predominance of lawyers, complicated procedures. So these were the problems which were being faced, and actually, I personally undertook a study of two states in November 20 to March 21 during this period. That's very recent, and Uttarakhand and Gujarat.
yeah,
And I found that that is a study in contrast. Uttarakhand, for example, every district is supposed to have a consumer forum. They had 13 districts. At the time of my visit in November,
yeah,
9 out of 13 were non-functional
yeah,
because of critical vacancies.
mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Then at the state level, state commission.
yeah,
So the president was there, but they needed at least one more member to adjudicate,
yeah,
to hear cases. But there was no other member. So the president was sitting idle.
yeah,
That was also not, state commission was also non-functional. State government under the act, state government has powers to give additional charge to someone to get over this problem of temporary vacancies. Suppose filling up of post is taking some time,
yeah,
so you can give additional charge to someone.
yeah, yeah,
But they never use those powers. So you can imagine the plight of consumers in Uttarakhand. It was totally defunct.
yeah,
The consumer protection machinery
yeah,
in the state was totally defunct.
yeah,
On the other hand, I found Gujarat, which I visited in March 21.
yeah,
Gujarat was doing very well. All the consumer commissions were functional.
yeah,
They were strict. There were vacancies, but not so many. And wherever there were vacancies, they gave additional charge, and
yeah,
they were functional.
yeah,
And Gujarat, I was surprised to see that in the state commission, 55% cases had been disposed
yeah,
within 3 months.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And in district commissions, 32% cases had been disposed
yeah,
within 3 months.
yeah, okay,
So that was far better than the national average of 10% that we say. That only 10% cases are decided within a
yeah,
period of 3 months.
yeah,
So there are state variations, and it all depends on the commitment of the state government, their willingness to act upon the various provisions of the Act.
Yeah.
And the new Act has also made it easier for the consumers. Because now, as per new Act, there are provisions for online filing.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
you can file, you don't require a lawyer for online filing.
Yeah. Okay.
You can also request for, online hearing.
Yeah. Okay.
eh? So that
Okay.
provision is also there.
So, ma'am,
You
which is the cases that take more time? Like, which one is solved fast? Is there any?
No, there's nothing like this. It
Yeah.
all depends on the efficiency of the people
Yeah.
manning that particular forum.
Yeah. Yeah.
Eh?
Yeah.
The will of the state government to fill up their vacancies, keep them functional, and then the motivation level of the
Yeah.
uh, president
Yeah.
or the chairman of the commission and the members of the commission to provide timely justice.
Yeah.
So there is also in the new act there is also provision for mediation.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
this also, so there are many provisions which they have introduced to expedite disposal.
Yeah. Okay.
We get to see the impact of new act
Yeah.
after
Yeah.
some time.
Yeah.
This
Okay.
e-Dakhil has become
Yeah.
operational
Yeah.
recently. Yeah.
So, okay, next question is about misleading ads. So I had also done an internship with you as a group, and that time we had talked about doctors coming in courts. I mean, actors acting as doctors in courts, in advertisements, and for dental products, for antiseptic
Yes.
creams and all that. That is
Yeah.
misleading. So that was the topic we had done that time. There was one topic like that. Okay,
Mhm.
so is it genuine to show? Is it not misleading the no, the public by showing the
Yeah.
an actor as a doctor? So that is a way of
Yeah.
misleading. So another point of this misleading is the celebrities. So
Mhm.
the question is, according that we see so many advertisements endorsed by celebrities. If the advertisement is found to be misleading by consumers, how much responsibility the celebrities must own for misleading the consumers?
See, there are very good provisions in
Yeah,
the new act about endorsers
yeah,
of advertisements.
yeah,
They are supposed to do due diligence
yeah,
and then only participate in an advertisement. They should not endorse without due diligence. That is one of the requirements for celebrities.
yeah,
And if they are found misleading
yeah,
consumers,
yeah,
then the CCPA, Central Consumer Protection Authority,
yeah,
powers to impose penalties on them.
yeah, okay,
And penalties are like for the first offense, 10 lakh fine, and they can prohibit them from endorsing for 1 year for
yeah,
the first offense. And for subsequent offense, penalty can be up to 50 lakh rupees
yeah,
and prohibition from endorsement for 3 years.
yeah,
So the thing is that this authority has come into place only in July 20,
yeah,
recently completed 1 year, and it does not yet have full-time staff, full-time officers. Additional Secretary of Department of Consumer Affairs
yeah,
is also the Commissioner, Chief Commissioner
yeah,
of this authority. So people are working with additional charge. So we have not yet seen much evidence of their presence. They have issued some notices now and then. For
yeah,
example, recently you might have seen it was in the news that they have banned, they've issued notices to Naptol and
yeah,
they've issued notices to GSK for their Sensodyne ad.
Yeah.
Doctors are not supposed to advertise.
Yeah.
So they have used doctors of England, United Kingdom,
Yeah. Yeah.
in
Uh-huh.
advertisement. So, so let us hope that this trend continues and they really,
Yeah.
uh, uh, they get active and proactively start imposing penalties. We have
So,
not
see,
seen.
the damage is done. The people have brought the products. Okay, when once they are convinced that what the celebrity is showing or the doctor means they will buy the product. The damage is done. So, how will the people be aware that okay, a penalty has been imposed and they have been misled? Then, or
See,
yeah.
no,
Will that is there any way of in informing the consumers that okay this has been
see, if penalties are imposed,
yeah
all media will cover it.
yeah
Hey, if particularly on a celebrity, if a penalty is
yeah
imposed, that will send out a very big message.
yeah okay
And I'll just share with you one example of a Federal Trade Commission in
yeah
USA. They are supposed to take action against misleading advertisements.
yeah
So there was used to be an ad by Reebok shoe. They used to claim with a beautiful girl. I think it was one of the famous actresses.
yeah
Yeah. So they used to say better legs and better butt
yeah
with each step.
yeah
If you
yeah
wear that,
yeah 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 yeah
if you wear that particular shoe
yeah
brand. So Federal Trade Commission asked them to substantiate their claim,
yeah
which they could not.
mm-hmm.
So then they not only banned that advertisement, they imposed a penalty of 25 million US dollars
yeah okay
on
mm-hmm.
Reebok shoes.
yeah okay
Now, once they impose that kind of penalty,
yeah
then it becomes a deterrent not only for Reebok shoes, but
yeah
also for so many other companies which
so
are trying to mislead. It becomes good media news also.
yeah okay yeah okay so
So people get aware of
uh-huh.
that all.
yeah
But
okay
yeah. So our CCPA is empowered to take similar action,
mm-hmm.
but we only wish and hope that it does take in,
Mm-hmm.
if not immediately, in near future.
yeah okay
Because in our country, ASCI, we had Advertising Standards Council of India.
yeah
They also said that this ad is misleading. They asked Reebok to withdraw this ad, but they had no powers
yeah okay
at that time.
yeah yeah so now they
So,
have a powers they have
so now government has powers. The
yeah
CCP
yeah government
authority.
has powers yeah
Ah,
yeah okay
so see, ASCII was a voluntary thing. So some people accept the request, some
yeah
people don't accept the
yeah
request.
okay
So it
mm-hmm.
doesn't go very far. Some
Mm-hmm.
people recently we experienced that Dabur ad, Akshay Kumar was endorsing a
yeah
celebrity like
yeah
Akshay. So one of my interns, we give them this exercise also,
yeah
report a misleading ad. So she reported this ad in which it is being claimed that you take 2 spoons of Dabur Chyawanprash
yeah
and you keep COVID away,
yeah yeah
or it will cure you from COVID, something like that.
yeah
So she reported it to ASCII, and ASCII had a Consumer Complaints Council.
yeah
So they considered it there. They asked for explanation of Dabur also, and whatever explanation Dabur gave, they didn't accept it, and they said this is misleading and withdraw it immediately. They gave a deadline.
yeah
So
okay
the ad was withdrawn also.
okay okay ठीक है हाँ
But but very soon now we see Akshay Kumar again advertising, with slight change in words. So I feel that is still misleading.
हाँ हाँ
So so
mm-hmm.
we have written to CCPA Chief Commissioner, that please look into this and use your powers.
Yeah. Okay, okay.